Welcome back. If you are watching for the first time, welcome to a channel of transformation, of thriving, of great community. And today I wanted to share a book that actually transformed me. Every time I share with you some great books and resources, it's a hit. So forget Atomic Habits. And Atomic Habits, you know how I feel about that book. But this book I have had for a really long time. I read twice, to be honest, but I don't think I was in the season ready to understand it. So last year, when I was doing the software engineering with Refactory, Refactory is so well rounded, by the way, is that they have a module where they teach you about life and leadership, and they were teaching about this book or the values or the nuggets that come from this book, which is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by a man who's become, even in his death posthumously, my favorite, Stephen Covey. The seven habits, I'm going to walk you through each because I thought maybe I should just give you my favorite three, but no, because maybe someone out there is a bit lazy to read. So I'm going to walk you through all the seven and give you my take on each. So the first habit of highly effective people is being proactive. Own your choices. Okay, some of you wait to blame everybody else except you. You must be proactive. But before we go into the choices and taking ownership, the way I see being proactive is to make an effort. You don't just sit and wait for things to happen. You walk in the path of the things that you want, and as you're there, you find. So I've always believed that you don't just sit. I mean, that's the reason why I even went back to school when I was postpartum. I said, I can't just sit and wait for a pivot to come to me. I must go in the direction of it. And then while I was in the direction of the pivot, studying and all of that, the opportunities came to me. So I feel like being proactive is trying. Do something, always make an effort. That's what being proactive is to me. But also the other way that Stephen Covey explains being proactive is taking ownership of your own choices. I mean, you must make a decision first. And once you make a decision, take ownership of it. Stand up and say, it's okay, I made it with my chest. And if I'm wrong, I'll take the consequences. If I'm right, I'll also take the applause that comes from it. So being proactive is the first habit of highly effective people. The second habit of highly effective people, according to Stephen Covey, is beginning with the end in mind. And I like how he explains it. He says, I mean, imagine if you were going to build a house and you said, I don't have a plan. I'll just keep putting a brick, putting, paint, and eventually I'll have a house. There's no way you're going to have a house of your dreams. It's going to be bits and pieces of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But if you want the house of your dreams, you're going to sit down with the architect and say, this is the design I want. I'd like the playroom here. I'd like a spa room here, whatever it is that your dream house has. It helps you to plan accordingly. What resources will you need? What people will you need? What will you need to do? What will you need to change to become that thing that you want in the end? I'll give you an example of me. I sat and wrote down what I needed out of 2025. Because I may not be able to plan every day accordingly because things happen, things change. But I said, what is the end? At the end of 2025, what does Flavia want? Who does she want to be? What will people say about her? What will her personal brand convey? What will her content be like? Then I worked backwards. What do I need to remove? Who do I need to work with as a team? What do we need to change as a team? How do I need to dress? How do I need to look? Everything. Because I had the end in mind. So I'm working, as I say, working backwards to get to that end. So that second habit is very key. Begin with the end in mind. The third habit of highly effective people is one of my favorites. I've actually talked about it here and there. Put first things first. I mean, let me tell you that Stephen Covey actually wrote a book out of this particular habit. Putting first things first. And it really helped me out of my postpartum days with the twins. It helped me to pivot my entire life. It helped me to appreciate my season as a mother because I learned that for my season was the first thing I had to put first. My children, my marriage, my family. But if I had not read that particular habit, I would be flying off walls for the wrong reasons. So put first things first. Prioritize. What is important for you in this season? And please don't ask this question to your neighbor, to your friends, to your brother, to your mother. You should know. You should know what's important to you right now. You should know what you're supposed to be prioritizing right now. And that is what you should put first. Pour your energy and effort to make it important. The next habit of highly effective people, and I love it, is think win-win. not win, lose, lose, lose. Think win, win. Guys, and it's possible because I remember saying that. It's impossible for us to go maybe into an argument or into a conversation or a discussion and we all win. If I want something from you, how do you win? And I really liked this particular habit when I was in a place where I wasn't working. And so money, for example, it's there, but you're not disposing it off as you would have. So I started to question, what's my return on investment if I put this much amount in content? Do I need this? Must I use this? Can't I swap this for that? You start looking around you on things you can use and people who can enable you to do certain things. Yeah. And then you start giving value. You start saying, you know what, I may not have the cash to pay you for this particular service, but I can offer, my social equity. You can use my social media, you can, for swapping a collaboration. So you must always think win-win, but that's in terms of working. What about in arguments? Well, that's the part where it's hard for you arguing, let's say with your lover, and you're like, in this argument, I must win, or he must win. That doesn't happen. Both of you must win. And by that, we mean nobody loses. Think about it this way. If we don't all aim to go into a conversation with, I'll teach you, just aim to understand each other. Say, my perspective, why I'm angry is this. I think this, I feel this. And then the other person, after they speak, you say, oh, so I hear you saying this. I may not agree, but I hear you. There, nobody has lost, but it's win-win because you've heard me, you've listened to me. You may not be able to do something about it now, but at least you've listened to what I had to say. So in everything, approach it with, how can I win? How can you win? Not lose, lose, win, lose. It must be equal. At the bare minimum, let's listen to each other. Then we'll think about it. Another part of the win-win situation is to think that there's abundance. A lot of us always believe in scarcity. There's not enough. We must fight. Because if the client calls Flavia and also calls Adnan, we're in trouble. Yeah, because now they may give me less money because you've also come on board. No, there's so much out there in the world that the abundance mindset helps you to say, all of us can win. In fact, if I'm doing a contract and I think they need a certain skill that I might possess, but I'm not an expert in, but I know a brander who's an expert, I should be able to call her on board and say, come, let's win. So always think win-win because there's so much out there. We can all win. Have an abundance mindset instead of scarcity. The next habit of highly effective people, seek first to understand and not to be understood. Give before you get. First understand what the person is saying. Why are they saying it? Why is their reaction that way? Why are they triggered that way? Why are they angry? Why is that an opinion they're very strong about? Maybe they have a reason. Then you can now start giving your points and be understood. It's hard for us in a conversation to understand others. You first understand me, then I'll understand you. Seek first to understand, then you can be understood. And if you notice in conversation, and I'm very good at communication, it's really my passion. In communication, when you give someone an ear, when you show them you've understood them, you've listened to them. I conduct interviews on Capture Radio, Desert Island. And it's interesting when my guests are speaking to me and I ask them a question and they're like, wait, you've been listening? I'm like, yes. Because I've understood them first, I've understood what they're saying, from what perspective, then I can formulate a question for me to be understood. And you can see they're happier because you've understood them first before you seek to understand, to be understood. So seek first to understand and then be understood. The next or the sixth habit of highly effective people is to synergize, learn to work as a team. The late Kobe Bryant is the one who they used to tell, please, sir, we're a team. He's like, yeah, I don't care. But sometimes that happens to people who are very talented or very much of geniuses. They like to work alone. But I can guarantee you things move faster as a team. I used to be very independent because I'm an only child. I'd want to do things myself. For example, recently, I got a client and I was given some edit work for voice. And I went and said, but it's festive season, I couldn't get the producer. And I decided to get the computer and said, sure, I can Google how to do this thing. And then you realize, no, there's a reason why they're experts. Learn how to work with others. People are good at what they're doing. And even if they're not, part of being in a team is to hold other people high. If you notice Flavia is on your team and is not good or is not good yet, Learn to lift them up. Part of working in a team is to not say, but I'm better. I'm the one holding the entire team. It's to, the reason we're holding each other is that I bring something to the table. So synergize is another strength of highly effective people. And the last and final, or the seventh habit of highly effective people, I love this one. Sharpen the soul. Sharpen the saw means, a saw. If you're going to cut down a tree, you must first take more time to sharpen the saw so that it's sharp enough to do the job. You are the saw. Flavia is the saw. You, whoever is watching this, you must sharpen you as a tool. You must take care of yourself. Whether you like it or you don't, I'm teaching you how important it is. If it is sleep, please sleep. If it is eating well, eat well. If it is getting yourself out of environments that are toxic, get out. Sharpen the soul. But also if it's learning, if it's reading books, if it's asking questions, if it's learning a new skill, do it. Constantly sharpen the soul and take care of yourself. I like the analogy Stephen Covey gives that if you're in a car and it runs out of fuel, you can't say, I'm too busy to fuel the car. You must stop and fuel it. You are the car. You must stop, fuel the car, you must wash the car, you must take care of it, you must maintain the condition, you must service it. So if you can do all that for a car, what about you as a person? Sharpen the soul. Those are the 7 habits of highly effective people by Stephen Covey. Another great recommendation that I'll give to you. Have any of these stood out for you? Share in the comment section.